right, a little real talk here. We only partner with companies that genuinely solve problems for indie agency news members. No fluff, just proven expertise. So here's a reality check for indie agencies. You got a campaign concept that needs celebrity talent, an athlete partnership, influencer access, or maybe the perfect music track, but you're stuck guessing who's available and what it'll cost. That's where our exclusive category partner, Abalone Partners, comes in. With over 20 years of entertainment industry relationships, they help agencies like yours stop winging it and start winning. They'll tell you what's realistic before you pitch, get your calls returned by people who usually ghost, and negotiate deals weeks faster than you do alone. Ready to stop guessing? Visit abalonepartners.com.
Hello, and welcome back to Meet an Indie Agency. I am Kyle O'Brien, Managing Editor for Indie Agency News. Today, we're going to meet another indie agency, and we're actually going to talk a little something different, because we're talking to something different. Tommy Henvey, Patti McConnell, thank you for joining us from your New York homes and offices, as it were. Tell me a little bit about why something different came about and what the name means for the agency.
Well, I'm going to let Tommy talk about the something different part of it, but I'm going to start off by the fact that we started talking about what it meant to open a different kind of agency. We launched in 2016. We started talking about it in 2014 during the break of a shoot that just was ripping our souls out. And we sat there and said, okay, let's write a business plan. And neither one of us knew how to write a business plan. So I downloaded Business Plan and we started to write something. And that sort of began the journey to get to what should be the easy part of, okay, what are we going to call ourselves? And
yeah, I mean, I think Patti bought the names and websites to like 4,000 different things. We were trying to figure out like every dumb name you can imagine. And then what happened was every time somebody would say, well, you know, what do you want it to be? Like, what are you looking for it to be? And I would always say, I don't know. I just felt like I want it to be something different. And I didn't know at the time what that meant necessarily, but it was, let's talk about like, it's like when you're hungry and you're like, do you want Chinese? No. Do you want Italian? No. Do you want Mexican? No. And you go, well, what do you want? It's like, I don't know. I just want something different. And that's kind of was the way we always thought about it. And it took us a while to kind of figure out what that meant because we didn't know, but we just wanted it to be different than what we were doing at the time or have a different way to look at things.
And it's now been said over and over, and not just by us, but by those that we partner up with. And that could be a brand, that could be a creative partner. So it's interesting. It has come to fruition.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
And now that we know that you are something different, what is the agency best known for?
Me?
Sure.
I mean, for me, I think what we're best known for is we do fun, interesting work. I mean, we do funny stuff. And I think it's the way we handle ourselves and treat the people that we not only work with internally, but the people that we have, that we deal with externally. And I think it's why kind of Patti and I went out in the first place and tried to do it was we didn't like the way that things were being handled with there was 57 layers to everything you were doing. There were all these different parts of it. And we wanted to have a different way to handle business. So I think what we're best known for, and I feel like I'm going to say the name 78 times, but we look at things and try to do things differently. And I think we do funny really good. So I think if you look at our stuff and you go, what do they do well? Like we produce really funny work and it looks great.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we create great work. We execute great work. I think there's a level of craft that is definitely up there and unmatched in some ways. But there's also something that is, and I know a lot of agencies, indies or big ones can talk about it, but we take so much of the bullshit out of it and it probably puts more on brands, but we drag them into the bunker with us. And there is just something where it's the access, the layers are just so stripped away that there's a partnership that's carved by day one. And look, I think it has to be, you got to be the right type of brand and partner to want to do the work. But I think we just go in a way, and we do hear this consistently. We go in and we do it in a way with them that is they haven't seen before.
Got it. Well, you touched on a bit of what your core strengths are. Funny. Obviously, you're going in with them. What would you say, really, if you're selling the agency? What are your top 3 core strengths?
I mean, great strategic problem solvers, great creative, great production execution. Gotcha. I mean, it's as basic as that. It just, the layer beyond it is how each of those are done.
Got it.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's the part of the strength and part of the reason that we did it in the first place was how the model of the agency was built, which is, it's almost like a studio model in a sense, where we have our keys, like we have our main people that across the different, parts. But I think one of the things that's not that we do differently anyway is we cast specifically for each project that we're working on, because it's like, I'm not the best on every single thing. You know what I'm saying? And there's other people that aren't best, but what it allows us to do is bring people in that are phenomenal at different parts, and being able to see it and saying, look, we need someone who does this really well. I think that ability to change and staff accordingly makes a humongous difference. And we're not pulling people off the internet to do this stuff. It's people that we've worked with and we know. But I think one of our strengths is the people that we surround a project with to solve the problems. I mean, I think to me that's a big part of it.
That are better, smarter than us. They're the best at what they do, which is right.
Yeah, certainly. Well, let's jump ahead then. Let's jump ahead to talent, since we're talking about it. So, why should talent put your agency on their list?
We, aside from the fact that I think we are incredibly fun to be with as a group of people, it's interesting. We started from a place of where's the best talent going to come from? It doesn't matter. Best talent for the work at any time, doesn't matter where you are. Right. And we stand by that. So it was interesting, just even when COVID hit, we never had to stop to pivot for that, right? Because we were already set up for that. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be in person, because that's always incredible. But it meant that you're going to work the way you work. You're going to come from where you come from, and we're going to support that. We have a creative director, one of the most brilliant, prolific writers, who does his best work at 2:13 a.m. That's not every place can enable and support that. But right. How do you need to work? What's going to be the best way for you to work to show up your best? It's going to show up in the work.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that, because it's like, one, we're all adults. So it's not like bed checks and make sure you're there on Tuesday at 9 a.m. I mean, if there's meetings and there's stuff that we need to be doing but we treat our people like they're adults and that they're real and they're human beings. And if you have something that needs to be happen, if I need to cover it, then I cover it. If you have to be somewhere, then we really do treat, I'm going to punch myself for saying it, but we treat each other. It's like a family in a sense, but it really is. And if you look at the people that work for us now, it's people that we have long standing relations with, and the people we bring in, it's the same thing. I also think one of the things, at least that I found when I was younger and getting into it, is it's kind of like a very flat leadership setup, in a sense, where it's not like, well, you're a junior or you're mid-level, so you're doing the banners. It's like you come in from day one and everyone's opinion has the same value. I mean, at the end of the day, I may have to make a decision and go, well, we're going to do this versus this. But for the most part, is we treat everyone has the same value and opinion. And it doesn't matter if you're an account person or if you're a producer or if you're a creative director. Like when you're small, you don't have a choice to be like, this is what I do, this is what you do.
Right.
And whether you're staff or or it's a contractor, because I would say if you asked any freelancer contractor that works with us, they feel like they are part of what the day is, the day to day is. They are involved, and everybody does a little of everything. And yes, that's a part of being small, but it's also a little bit, I think, of how we strategize and how we ideate. So everyone's involved in new business. Everybody's involved in what, the agency Instagram looks like. I mean, Tommy says like a family, and yes, it absolutely is. And it's almost like a mafia family. Like there is something where there's a diehard commitment across the board.
And also we're super protective of the people that we work with.
Yeah.
And that's clients also. It's like we go out of our way because I think, one of the things you lose in advertising a little bit, whether you're a client or on the agency side, especially when I started, is you become a little bit of a number at times. And I think one of the things we hated, and probably one of the things we wanted to make the most different, was that feeling.
Yeah.
So I think that we try to not have people feel that way. And because it's hard, I mean, you're grinding, like it's a lot of work to do what we do, and it's not easy. You get kicked in the gut a lot because, people don't like something or everything changes and you have to redo it. And if you don't feel like you're valued for doing that, it sucks. So I also think that from a talent standpoint is we really appreciate different brains and people that have come from different circumstances and come from different backgrounds and different whatever, because that's where good stuff comes from. Like if everybody has the same brain, everyone's worked the same way, you're going to get the same work all the time. So for us, like we're excited. And again, we're talking about how we built the places because you're bringing in different people to do stuff beyond our keys. It's like, you're really excited to work with that person and you're bringing them in at something that they're great at. So when they come in, you're going, it's no different than when we work with a director, or if you work with someone else, you're so excited to be like, oh, this person's going to be phenomenal for this, or this person's great at this, or this person does that. And I think that Patti and I are both very good about looking at something and saying, I don't know how to do that, or I don't do that as well as this person does that. So when they come in, they're not a cog in the wheel. They're kind of like, they're a big part of it. And I don't think you see that a ton.
No.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I know, Kyle, that's probably not where you're going, but there's something, because I've just been thinking about this just a lot in terms of how new talent is emerging, and what it looks like. And I think something different is made up of, look, there's people with great pedigree that just grew up in places and worked a certain way. We were raised a certain way in this business. And I think we're grateful for that, for where we came from. And it's what has allowed us to do what we do. And I think the talent that's growing up now really desperately needs that, because they don't really have that access. It's being able to have the influence and perspective from people that have just come from different places and done this for a long time, I think is so critical.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say one last thing on that, because I'm sure you have other stuff, but I mean, the other part of it is when I started in the business, like we produced a ton of stuff. You know what I mean? Like people in advertising was making a lot of TV or a lot of stuff. And that's not the business anymore. So, you have people that have become creative directors that have never actually
made anything
like that have never made. So for us, the big draw that I always say for us is like, you're going to make stuff pretty quick. You're going to have an opportunity to be on stuff and making stuff. You're not going to be sitting there doing, we used to call it paste up, where you were like putting boards together. It's like, that's not what you're doing. That's not how you're learning, because you're in it.
Right.
And you're doing stuff, which is rare, I think, these days, because there's not the amount of stuff that was being done 20 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah,
or 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, it's crazy, right?
the industry has definitely changed. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So let's get to the indie portion of it. Why is being indie so important to something different and to the team?
So that something different can work and truly live up to its name. To it goes back to what Tommy was talking about earlier. It's came out of incredible places and super proud of that, but that wasn't really working, and that wasn't really serving brands and solving problems and making the best work. And we built something different to work a better way. Where there was access at any point, where to also strip the friggin' egos and like just do the work and do it at a certain level, do it with people that we like, that we respect. And that's not just talent and creative partners, that's brands. And we've had a couple of situations where it's been that conversation with a brand of maybe we're not really matched up, but it was to really be able to make choices and work in a better, what we see and believe is a better way to do it. And it has, I think, going into our 10th year, proved us well.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a freedom to it that allows us to not have 50 layers. There's a for better or for worse, you know, it's not just Patty and I, but we'll make decisions that we think are the right thing to do, and we don't have to check with 100 people to make sure that's cool. And also, is from a client perspective, is if you need, I don't know if you need one of us to handle something for a fire drill, and there's always fire drills, you're going to have our cell phone number and call us and be like, hey, this is what I need, or this isn't working. And we have the ability to make that decision about who we hire, who we work with, what we do immediately. And we're not checking with 50 people and saying, is this okay? And what are we supposed to do here? So it allows us to move quickly, and it allows us to protect the people that work for us and the people that we work with. And I think for us, that's kind of a good definition of what we mean by something different.
And change the rules as you need to, right? Because things are going to change, and because things are changing all the time, you have to have the freedom and the ability and the agility to be able to act accordingly. We weren't calling them indies in 2016, really, right? Now it was one of those things of, I don't know, is this going to work? Let's just make this. Let's just do it. And look, I'm super proud of what we're all doing out there, and we're all kind of doing it with our own special sauce, right? I mean, we could probably say all the same thing. All the indies can probably say so much of the same thing, but everyone's trying to carve out their own thing, right? Look, to be founders, to have these independent smaller agencies, you have to be 1,000% committed. Like you better love this. You better want this. That passion has to be there. That's incredible.
Yep. Love it. So feeding off that, why should brands work with you? It's been nearly a decade now. So what do you tell a brand that you think you want to work with? You've said that you've been able to say no on certain occasions, but why should a brand look to you?
For every single thing we just said, which is we're not only going to cut through the crap and figure out what is really right to solve your business problem, create and execute whatever is needed to do so. You're going to be treated incredibly well. There's not going to be any egos and preciousness and bullshit. It's just and you're going to have access to the people you need access to. What you see is what you get. And I mean, I think especially with what brands are dealing with, especially with, what CMOs are faced with every day, and how their world look at how we watched what Marcom and CMOs have changed, how they've changed over the years. First they were creatively focused, then it was all about business and data, and they came from different places and procurement, and there's so much that they're dealing with, that to have certain kinds of partners go in and just they need it to be easier. They need it to really be something different.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree with my partner. I think it's also, and you could say that I take it as old, but we've been around the block a little bit. And I think what it is we get the gig. And we also, I think a part of that is understanding is what they deal with on the other side. Do you know what I'm saying? In a sense, yeah. So it's not, you can't, when you've done it as much as we've done it, you lose the part of whining about shit and like, oh my God, why did this die? And it's a week of that. It's like, we move quick. We figure stuff out. We understand why that's the case and what we have to do. And I think we have an extraordinary ability to get shit done that, I mean, we've had examples where the day before we were shooting and the location was done, the actors were cast. We've had clients that had an issue internally and couldn't do the spot that we were shooting the next morning at 9 a.m. And they were going to eat the money. And instead of that, we wrote something the night before and went out and shot it. And it became one of their favorite spots. And this is a big, and it's because I don't know if we could have done that 20 years ago, but I mean, at this point now we know how to get stuff done. And I think I'll say, I think that the other part of it is it's not bullshit what we're saying, in a sense. Like, I know we had a client that was on a shoot with us and she was going home and she got little kids and her kids were all sick, and Patti sent like soup to them and all this other stuff because she knew what re-entry was going to be, because we've all done it because we've traveled so much.
Yeah.
And not 1 ounce of that was because she was a client and trying to, garner good stuff with the client. That was because Patti was a mom and we're parents, and she knew what she was going back to. And it was a thing because we care about these people. Like when we get in, like we genuinely, I say it, like we'll cover their ass on whatever we have to, in a sense of getting stuff done and how to make the work done and trying to make it easier, because we know the shit that everybody's dealing with. Yeah. So I think when you work with us, and Patti touched on it before, is we are who we are, and we're very genuine, and we're super appreciative of having the ability to do what we do with the people that we do it with, and having the choice of who you're working with or trying to work with means a lot to us. And I think, one thing you have to look at is when you're a smaller place is a client for us is never going to be a number, in a sense, because we don't have 700 clients where we're just rolling in $1 billion. So it's like, for us, it means a lot to us. Right. So when we look at the work and how we work on it, everything we do, we treat, a line on a matchbook cover, we put as much work into that as we're going to put into a Super Bowl spot, because it's important to us. It's like we as co-founders are protecting not our families, but the people that work for us and their families. Like, we owe this to them, and everybody kind of feels the same way when you're doing stuff. And I think I'll say it's not just different as an indie agency. Patti and I have been like that since we started working together 20 years ago or 20 something years ago now. Right. But
it's a while.
It's a long time. But I mean, I think we've kind of always been that way and taken it that way. Like we genuinely like doing this. Advertising gets a lot of shit now. People are always complaining about this and that and whatever. But like, I've dug ditches and bust tables, and like the ability to go solve some problem and then get a shitload of people on a set to make something, or to have some idea that was in your head, or someone in the room with your brain, and it becomes this real thing, is insane. That's a job that you get to do. And I don't think enough people kind of
appreciate that.
You'll get from us when you talk about what is it like to work with us? Like, we love doing this.
Yeah, well,
You know,
our
and the
industry is fun, and we should be having fun. So
we should be
Yeah.
celebrating it, right? And
Yeah.
it also doesn't, it's funny, it also doesn't matter the size of the client. And I think that may also be another little piece of why maybe all indies break out to do what they do, which is, of course, you need the bigger brands, right? It's what allows you to function and do broader, different kinds of work. But also, what about the little startups? We get to, we can make the choices to work with who we want to work with. And you get on board with a startup, that's a 2-year process. That's that's a different kind of commitment.
Yeah. No, I think looking at each of those clients like they're the most important, no matter what you're doing for them, is the way to go, certainly. So now let's get to the portion of the show where we ask you what kind of indie you are. Are you a weirdo, a misfit, or underdog? Everybody falls into one of these baskets, or perhaps a grouping of all three. So,
I'll say this. I think it'd be really cool as a creative person to be like, I'm a misfit or a weirdo, but I'm kind of not. I think I always say we're very non-Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
In a sense of what we do. Was it misfit, weirdo, underdog? I would lean underdog because I think what we do as a smaller place is super hard to do. And I think the way that it's built to get business or to get into rooms makes you an underdog automatically, because, we may be the best person for the job. Listen, it's not going to be for every one of them, but for a lot of them, and you're not getting an opportunity to show what you can do because they need to know it was this place, and we're not doing 5,000 PR things, and we're not doing, that's just not who we are. But we're grinders. Like, we go in and we do the work, and I think we do killer work, and I think we do killer strategy, and we solve problems in ways that a lot of times I'm like, holy shit, that was a really good idea. That was a great way to think about that. But you run into a lot of walls trying to get in to the rooms, and trying to get access to the people that you could do phenomenal work for, and that it would change the way that they looked at how they do their advertising or their marketing. And I don't mean that from a creative standpoint. I mean it from
but that's an underdog. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
It's way harder than it should be.
Yeah.
To at least have a chance. Like, my feeling is always like, give us our day in court. If you give us our day in court and you give us the opportunity to do it, if we lose, we lose. Yeah. But I think it's so hard to kind of get that chance a lot of times, just because they're like, well, you have to have, I mean, then you look at RFPs and stuff like that. It's like, well, if you don't have 50 people or you don't have 75 people, you can't do it. And I'm like, we've produced more in 10 years than I guarantee some 1,000-person agencies have produced, because we grind and we know how to do it, and we keep it simple, and we're fast, and we can make a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate, that's why I go underdog for that.
Right. Yeah. No, I think spoken like a true underdog. So, all right, now you have an opportunity to do a quick shout out. Any CMO, marketer, anybody you want to say hi to, give a shout out to. Here's your opportunity.
I mean, geez.
Without naming names.
You can name names. You can certainly name names. People name names all the time, because it's usually somebody they want to work with or they admire. So
I think we have a criteria. Go for it.
Yeah, it's more than look. What I like to do, the easy answer: Nike, Yankees. You know what I mean? Sport. But the reality is this: you look back at Old Spice 20 years ago. I guarantee nobody was yelling the guy, the marketing person from Old Spice, but they had someone that came in and completely changed the brand.
Yeah.
And I think we would shout out who wants to play, who loves this, who loves doing what they do and wants to get in a bunker and fucking figure it out. That's what I don't care if it's the biggest brand or the smallest brand. It's more the people that are, it's like, yeah, let's go do something great. Let's go
be a little brave and have some joy and right.
All right. That's the best shout out I can imagine. So bring it on. I love it. All right, Patti and Tommy, thank you from Something Different. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us about
Thanks for
about your
having us.
agency, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And thanks everybody for tuning in for Meet an Indie Agency.
Thanks, Kyle.